You just tuned in to Major Cooking with Cowper. I'm here with Miss Major. You know her as the vice principal, but today she is our chef du jour, and she's going to be helping me make some food today. You got your food in the mail, or you downloaded your recipe card, and there is a line to fold it on so that you can follow along the recipe while you cook. Hi, Miss Major.
Hi, everyone. So before we get cooking, I know it seems strange that you're seeing me in my kitchen, but I absolutely love to cook, and you're going to see the Italian in me coming out. So before we get started, boys and girls, we do want to talk a little bit about safety. So please make sure that you are doing this with a parent, an adult, somebody who is with you, because we don't want you using the stove alone for obvious reasons. We don't want anybody getting injured. So I always, before I start in the kitchen, tie my hair up because nobody wants to find anything in their food. So I'm going to kind of just step away and tie my hair. And then I am going to take a minute and wash my hands.
That's the same reason I wear a ball cap in the kitchen, Miss Major. I'm tucking my hair in, and hair's gotten a little crazy during COVID times, so I'm tucking it all in. I'm wearing my ball cap.
Great idea.
Mrs. Major, you did say
Okay. So I used some soap. My hands are all washed.
you did say this is important to be with parents, and I agree. We put that on all of our menu cards too. That this doesn't just require adult supervision, it requires parent assistance, because we're going to be chopping things, we're going to be using hot water, and at the very end, we're going to be using the stove. So we want to make sure, parents, that you're there, you're with the kids. Please, children, you cannot participate in this event by yourself, okay? All right, excellent. What's next, Miss Major?
We're going to go and grab our aprons so that we make sure that not only our hands are clean, but that, you know, we have a clean surface that's going to be possibly touching our food. So I'm going to grab an apron.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I've got my apron, Miss Major.
I got my apron too. I've got a fun one.
Yeah, looks Christmassy.
It is Christmassy. It was a Christmas gift.
Nice, nice. Okay, I cleaned off my table surface here too, Miss. I think we're gonna want to introduce some ingredients to everybody. See what we're using today. They got their food boxes from Green Heart Catering. They got those on their porches this weekend. But let's tell them what's in their box. Go for it.
All right. So first of all, you should have some sort of pasta. I have penne. You should have penne as well.
Yep.
And some pasta sauce. So I've got it in a jar. You've got a jar or possibly a can. I have some d'Italiano, which is basically a shredded cheese. You can also use mozzarella. And then I have my Parmesan shaker, which you wouldn't have received in the box, but if you have that at home, you may want to add that on the very top. And then I've got my veg. So we've got an onion. My very favorite basil, and make sure you smell the basil when you open it because it just smells wonderful. And then we've got cherry tomatoes, and we have mushrooms and red pepper. And I think you also, now I have this in my fridge, but you also should have received a tube of Pillsbury, either tea biscuits or crescent rolls, depending on what is in your box. But I do have it in the fridge because I wanted the dough to stay nice and cold. You have that, Mr. Cowper?
I got flaky rolls.
Awesome. I got tea biscuits.
All right.
Okay, we're going to put that there. And then lastly, I browned 1 pound of ground beef before we started. So I just kind of cooked it up ahead of time in the skillet so that it would take some time. How about you?
I'm going to go vegetarian today because that was our other option. And I packed a couple of extra veg ingredients. I've got myself a zucchini to go in. And don't tell anybody, but I snuck in some garlic too. I'm going to throw some garlic in mine, okay, miss?
Nice.
A little bit of parsley too. I always like to add parsley to an Italian dish. Okay?
Very nice. Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, should we get our water going at least?
Absolutely. I'm going to turn mine on. I have it over here. I'm going to actually add some salt in my water so that it's nice and salted, because when you cook the pasta, it'll absorb some of that salt. And absolutely, if you forget the salt, you can notice when you go to taste your pasta, or I notice anyways. So we've got that on high. I'm going to double check that.
This is called the salt pig.
Yeah, the salt pig. There's salt in there. Looks like a pig's nose.
Very cool. And it does not grind the salt?
No, it's just a container. One of the things that I did notice just now is that it's the first time that we use the oven top, stove top. So again, kids, make sure you're with your parents out there when you're using stove top, okay? Awesome. So water's boiling, Miss Major. What next?
All right, now we're going to chop up our vegetables. So I know on the recipe card it says 1 cup of tomatoes, 1 cup of mushrooms, 1 cup of peppers, but you're going to see the Italian in me. I was raised by Italian parents, and we very rarely measure things. But certainly, if you're more comfortable measuring, you can go ahead and measure. So we're going to start with our onion. And I'm just going to chop it up finely. Make sure to take the brown skin off of the outside of your onion. You don't want to eat that.
Okay. Now, where do your onions come from? You have Leamington onions?
Pardon me?
You have Leamington onions out there, Ruthven?
You know what? I'm going to say I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Now, onions make you cry, they say. How come the onions make you cry, Miss Major?
So they make me cry too, so I might have to take a little break and wash my hands with some soap. You definitely don't want to touch your face while you're doing this. Mr. Cowper, I'm going to show you after this cool cutting board that I got for Christmas. It's this little one on the top here, it flexes.
Okay.
So when you go over to your pan, you just kind of flex it and dump it into your pan. Woo, I'm crying already.
You're crying.
Yeah, these onions are strong.
Okay, I got 1 onion down.
All right. You can just set that aside. I'm just going to push it over because I have a large cutting board, but you're welcome to use a bowl if you need to. All right, we're on to mushrooms.
Mushrooms.
These are tricky. Be careful that you're holding them nice and still while you're chopping them up.
Sometimes there's little brown bits on my mushrooms. You ever notice that?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I just rub it off with a paper towel. I was told never to wash the mushrooms because the mushrooms don't like the water. Is that true?
You told me too late because I washed them right before we began.
I don't know. Everybody's different. So these mushrooms are going to be big enough to see in the dish, right? We don't want to make them too fine.
I agree.
Okay.
Unless you're like my family, they don't love mushrooms. So sometimes I'm a little sneaky and I make them a little bit smaller on purpose.
Oh.
So this is pretty bad, eh?
This is going to be very healthy for kids, I think, Mrs. Major.
Definitely. We've got, do we have all our, actually, do we have all our 4 food groups? I have the protein for the hamburger. We got the meat. We got the cheese, which is our dairy. What else? We got the pasta, which is the breads. And our veg, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to move my zucchini just to get that out of the way, okay?
Right. gonna help us out, Calvin?
Yeah, take some close-ups.
Awesome. That's great. I'm gonna, what are you chopping there, Mr. Cowper, your zucchini?
I just finished my zucchini. Yep. So I'm onions.
All right.
What's next?
Next, we're going to do our cherry tomatoes. If you choose to do to put these in, I like to cut these just in half.
Okay.
That way, this is going to sound really crazy, but I think students will relate. I cut them and leave them larger because one of my sons doesn't like them, and so if they're a little bit bigger, you can just kind of push them to the side of your plate. Suppose if you love them, you could chop them up really fine, but that's not the case in my house.
I've got the Campari tomatoes, the ones that are a little bit bigger than cherries, so I'm going to cut into 4s, but they'll be the same size. I'm done.
Yep. I love tomatoes in my food, but you know, everybody doesn't. So this is probably an item you can choose to put in or to use in your salad, I guess.
Ah. They smell delicious.
Ooh, these ones do as well. I think I have some Leamington tomatoes, actually.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, what do we have left? We have to do our red pepper or green pepper, depending on what you have.
I'm going to choose my orange one. I've got an orange one, okay?
Oh, nice. So I think these need to be, you know, pretty small because you don't want it to have like a big piece like this. So I'm actually gonna make them pretty small, kind of like the size you'd see on a pizza. It smells pretty good too.
My dog Luna loves these peppers, Mrs. Major.
Luna?
Yeah, she loves these peppers.
That's funny. My dog loves apples.
Gab will get a shot of her having a piece of orange pepper here.
That's great.
We'll put it in the movie later. You know, this is a very good one for me to do alongside with you.
Major, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh yes, it's great. I love this. This is awesome. It's nice to have something a little bit different than our, you know, the way students always see us, which is in our, you know, leadership academic role. So it's kind of nice to,
I think so too.
to show the other side of us as well.
So another safety feature, right? We've got hot stove, we've got hot water. We're using knives. So again, parents, we trust that you're making good decisions for your kids and making sure they know how to use a knife if that's something that you allow them to do in the house. Not every parent does. We wait to a certain age to teach our kids how to use kitchen utensils and knives and stuff. So again, if you're there helping kids chop, Mrs. Major and I thank you very much. But kids, if you're involved, be very careful with your fingers. Okay, we don't want any accidents today. What's next, Miss Major?
That's great. So I think now I'm going to transfer some, actually, do we want to chop the basil? And it's going to be a garnish. It's going to go on the very top, but we could chop it and just set it aside.
Okay, sounds good. Now, the stem.
Well, I suppose you have parsley too, so if you want to chop that up.
Do you just use the leaves of the basil or do you use the stem as well?
I think that I'm just going to use the leaf.
Okay.
What do you use?
Yeah, if it's going to go inside the dish, I only use the leaves. But sometimes when I'm making sauce, I just put the entire thing in there and let it kind of simmer. That make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When my parents make their large batches of sauce, I go and help them, and they put absolutely everything, and they put a big thick section and tie it with some twine.
Okay.
And they kind of boil just as a flavoring, and then that big large piece gets removed after.
Oh man. So you grew up in a home where cooking and making your own sauce and doing all that kind of stuff was really important, eh, Miss Major?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Still is, because I've had some of your parents' sauce.
This is my parents' sauce here, which you will see when I open up. So yeah, it's a big thing in our home to do homemade sauce, homemade lasagna, homemade pasta. My favorite is when my mom makes homemade gnocchi.
Ooh.
They're delish.
Gavin's eyes just lit up. That's his favorite pasta dish. He loves it.
Basil's a little bit tricky to chop finely. So it's a little bit slippery, so be careful when you're chopping it.
My fingers smell like garlic.
Nice.
Thanks, Gav. All right, where are we? This is what I've got in front of me, Miss Major. Maybe we could just get a shot of this for the camera afterwards. So I've got my I've got my onions, I've got mushrooms, I've got my zucchini, my tomatoes, my peppers, my basil, a little bit of parsley, and I've got my garlic ready to be mashed into the sauce. Does that sound right?
Sounds excellent. Sounds perfect.
Okay.
So I think now we probably should just pop in and check on the water. But while we do that, I'm going to take a skillet and add about a tablespoon of olive oil.
Okay.
And just kind of get that oil warming up so that we can saute our vegetables.
Okay.
So,
yeah, my water is just starting to bubble.
yeah, mine is too, actually, just starting. And I'm going to add some oil into my skillet. I think I'm going to turn that on to...
Okay, Ms. Major, we got our olive oils heating up. Shall we put some veg in?
I think before we do that, we should just turn our oven on so that it starts preheating. Because we're going to want to put our rolls in there and our pasta in there. So I'm going to turn my oven on to 375 degrees.
Perfect. 375 it is.
You could probably do 350, but I notice on my dinner rolls here it says 375. Okay. So I think I'm going to add my onion. Okay, my onion is sizzling nicely. It's just starting to saute.
Same here. I love the way it sounds.
Oh, I love the way it smells.
Yeah, it smells great. I'm gonna jam my garlic in there, okay, Miss Major?
Sounds good. I think I'm going to go ahead and add my red peppers now.
Awesome. I've gotcha. I will put my peppers in.
Okay, I'm gonna go for the mushrooms.
Okay.
Add the mushrooms in. Oh, they look good.
Whoops.
So when you saute your vegetables, do you put the lid on, Mr. Cowper?
I'm sorry, Miss Major?
Do you put the lid on when you saute?
No, I don't. I just let the heat take care of it. I keep the lid off.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm gonna add my cherry tomatoes.
These veg absorb a lot of heat, eh? So it needs to cook a little bit extra long, I think. A little bit longer than we thought. At least mine look that way.
Well, I think the vegetables and the pasta, we need to watch that we cook them actually a little bit less because they're gonna bake in the oven as well, right?
That's right, that's right. Okay?
We don't want it to be soggy, so.
Absolutely, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Good call, good call.
So the last thing I added was that ground beef that I cooked up ahead of time. So I'm just going to add that so it kind of starts to warm while my veggies are cooking. So I think that needs to cook for a few minutes before we add the sauce. What do you think?
Yeah, and my water's boiling hard right now, so we could probably get our noodles in there, yeah?
Let's do it. Mine is boiling hard too. I kind of had to take the lid off because it was really boiling.
Now, whenever water is boiling in the kitchen, everybody has to be careful. Boiling
Yeah,
water.
and be careful when you pour because sometimes the water splatters out, and I've had it where it's hit my wrist before, so you do have to be careful.
Yeah, it's best that parents do this part for sure. Now, on your recipe card, Mrs. Major, I noticed that you wrote the words al dente or al dente. Can you describe what that means for the noodles that we're cooking?
Absolutely. So if you were cooking the noodle and you took the noodle out, let's say that it was supposed to cook for 7 minutes, you would take it out. You would take it out at about 3/4 of the cooking time. So probably at about 4 or 5 minutes, and you'll know because I usually taste it, and you don't want it to be soft like as if you were making Kraft dinner. You do want there to be not a crunch, but you do want it to be just where your teeth sink into it, but there's like a little bit of a chew, almost like when you first chew into a piece of gum.
Okay.
Like a piece of Trident gum. You should kind of be like that because if we boil it too long, it's going to be like really mushy after it comes out of the oven.
Okay, I gotcha. So not too soft and not crunchy, just about done. Okay.
So I could describe it this way too. When you cook them fully, they actually start to expand and they lighten in color, right? When you look at the noodle, instead of it being the size as it was when you first put it in, it actually kind of blows up a little bit, if you will.
Okay.
So you want it to be a little bit expanded, but not fully expanded, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna guess because I cook a lot of pasta. I'm going to guess it's going to be about 5 minutes, if that helps you.
For sure. Mine is looking really good. I think I'm good to put the tomato sauce in, Miss.
Yes, I think mine's there, just about there too. So this is the sauce that I made with my mom at her house, and it actually has meatballs in it. So I think I'll cut them up a little bit finer once they're in the pan, so that they're just little small pieces.
Whenever I open up a jar, or a can, I should say, of tomato paste, I always save the rest of the can in little baggies in the freezer so I could use it for my pasta sauce. So yeah, I added a little bit of tomato paste to mine, Miss.
Nice. It's a great idea. We'll thicken it up a little bit. Mine already has tomato paste in it because when we made it, that was how we thickened it. So I'm actually not going to add tomato paste.
You got homemade sauce from Mama. Yours is good. It's good, yeah. This looks great, Mrs. Major.
It does look good. So my water looks okay, but here's a little trick. If you find that your water is boiling over or it's like getting white and foamy, mine is okay right now, but sometimes I take my olive oil and I just drizzle it across the top of the water. I'll show you, and then that kind of helps the foam to dissipate. So you just kind of give it a little drizzle like that, and that will prevent it from boiling over.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We find when we cook gnocchi, because there's a high flour content and they're homemade and they're dusted with flour, you really, really have to do that little trick because they just want to always boil over. But you need that high heat because you want them to cook quickly. So it's kind of a tricky thing. So, Mr. Cowper, I'm thinking ahead. When I drain my pasta, it's not ready, but when I drain it, I like to use a colander. So I have one that just sets in the sink. And again, this is another thing you're going to want your parents to help with because, yeah, that's going to be hot boiling water. So I usually just kind of set that in my sink and then pour the pasta in and just kind of wait till all the steam is, you know, kind of out into the air so that I'm not burning myself.
Okay.
So how about the trick with the running water? Do you know that trick, Mr. Cowper?
No, I don't. I thought you were gonna. There is a trick I know where you wear the colander on your hat when you're playing baseball in the yard,
yeah.
You're playing stickball.
So when I was in Rome at my cousin's house, they were cooking pasta, and they run the cold water quite vigorously while they are pouring the hot pasta into the colander because it stops everything from steaming up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I remember saying like, what are you doing? But I thought, oh, that makes sense. I don't always do it. Sometimes I forget, but it's nice to know these little tricks in the kitchen.
I'm gonna try that. Now we're coming to an important part in this when we do get the noodles off of the stove. And once again, I've said it a couple times, we've got to be very careful with boiling water. This job is certainly for adults only. Gavin's handing me some oven mitts so I don't burn my hands when I grab the pot because it's been on the hot stove. And we've got to make sure that parents are in the room and parents are using the oven mitts and dealing with the hot water only. Kids need to back away for this part. We don't want any terrible accidents to happen. Deal?
I'm ready.
You think we're ready?
Oh, I'm not sure. I was just being silly. I gotta check out the pasta.
How do you know when your pasta's ready? How do you know when it's al dente? Do you taste one?
I do, but I'm gonna see if I can explain another little trick.
Okay.
This is, I'm not sure if you can see this, but if you take the pasta, you take a fork, and
Yeah.
you take the side of your fork, and you just press it in. If it cuts, but it's like firm and it cuts,
Yes.
then it's pretty close. I'd say maybe about 1 more minute. How's it taste? I think it needs a minute or 2 yet.
Yeah, it cuts, but it's still a little bit too firm.
Yep, I agree. Too firm still, so we gotta wait a little bit.
Every once in a while, I give it a stir because I don't like any of the noodles to stick to the bottom of my pan. It's a real pain to clean off.
This is smelling good.
I'm giving this a stir just to make sure we're good. Do we add any salt or pepper to our sauce?
Pardon me?
Do we add any salt or pepper to our sauce?
Well, you can. I don't because we already added it when we make it.
Okay.
But I would, if I was using a bot jar of sauce, and I do use bot sauce, I like to add a little bit of salt and pepper and sometimes basil, oregano, and garlic powder or garlic salt.
Okay.
I do kind of add a few spices, otherwise it's a little bit bland.
Okay, well, I added some salt and I'll add some pepper. I actually already snuck my basil in there and my garlic.
Nice. Ooh, this is looking good.
Sauce looks great. It smells delicious in here, Mrs. Major. It smells delicious. Yum.
Yum, it's looking good. Does your family like pasta?
It's Italian food is our favorite, I think. We love pasta.
Yeah, we do too.
Gavin's first dish that he learned how to cook was a pasta dish. He just loves pasta. His favorite.
That's great.
His favorite is bacon and eggplant and tomato sauce.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. When Colton was a baby, Colton's my oldest boy. I bought some baby food from Heinz, and it was pasta with sauce, little tiny like zoodles with sauce in it. And I remember telling my mom, "Oh, he doesn't like it. He just keeps spitting it out." So she said, "Take like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of my sauce, of her sauce, of course, because that's the best according to her, right?" So I bought these little alphabet noodles in a little tiny baby dish, and I made it, and then that was the worst thing I could ever do because then he didn't want any jarred food. He wanted that homemade taste, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just before we're getting ready to throw our noodles in our sauce, maybe we need to crack open our flaky rolls and put them on a pan.
Good idea.
Right here. Yeah, that didn't work. Oh, wow! It popped open. Thank you, yeah. But these are already cut for you and everything, right? You just need to lay them out and put them on the pan?
Absolutely. All the work is done for us. If I can get it open,
Cool.
it'd be a problem. So I peeled it along the line. Doesn't want to seem to open. So I wonder if I didn't read it, which shows you how poorly I follow a recipe. Woo! But I wonder if it said to put it on a greased cookie sheet or a not, an ungreased.
They feel pretty greasy to me, Miss Major. I think we're good. Pretty greasy.
Oh yeah.
All right, how about our noodles? I think we're good.
I think they'll be good too. Mine are coming out. Gonna turn my stove off. Don't forget to turn your stove off, Mr. Cowper.
I got you.
Okay, I'm gonna run my cold water and pour my noodles. Drain my noodles, I mean.
Looking good.
Make sure to drain all the water because otherwise it's going to make our sauce runny.
Now these are going to go right into our sauce, and then we're going to put it in a casserole dish, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I hope my pot is big enough. Okay, mine are going in. This is big and hot.
It looks perfect.
Probably get my oven mitt.
How you doing in there? Okay?
Good. I'm putting my oven mitts on because I had my one handle of my rock pot hanging over the heat, I guess. Just to be safe, I wanted to bring it over so I could kind of show what it looked like. Oh, it looks delish.
I'll show you mine.
There's one of my big meatballs. This is veal and beef, a combination of veal and beef.
Yeah. Look at me.
Here's looking. Great. Oh yeah, it looks awesome.
I love the colors of the veg. Okay. So I've got myself a casserole dish here. Are you going to put your pan right in the oven, that one that you've got?
No. I actually don't know if it can go in the oven. It's a little bit newer and I haven't tried. So I'm going to do the aluminum.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to do just an aluminum dish, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to put half in, I think, and then maybe add a little bit of cheese.
Oh, nice. You're going to go layers.
I'm going to go half of this, and I'm going to do like a little bit of cheese.
This is Italiano cheese. Everybody got this in their packages if they ordered one, right?
Yes.
So this has different kinds of cheese. We've got Romano cheese, mozzarella, provolone. and pimento cheese. And then you're gonna put a little bit of Parmesan on, aren't you?
Yes.
I like
I like
that.
that. Yeah.
So I put about half my pasta and some cheese and some parm, and then I'm gonna put the other half of the pasta on top of that.
You layered it almost like a lasagna. That's awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to try and see. I thought it might add a little bit of, some cheesy goodness in the center.
I used all my cheese. Is that bad?
Did you use it all?
I used all my cheese. Is that a bad thing?
No, I think I'm going to use it all too. The cheesier, the better. That's good.
All right.
Alrighty. I'm going to just touch up the top with some more parm. This is Parmesan. It's actually not what's in here. It's just grated parm, but I liked the shaker bottle from Costco, so I saved it.
I'm gonna put some on too. I've got my kitchen helper here is gonna pass me my Parmesan, and I'm gonna put some on too.
Nice.
My kitchen helper is gonna be a graduate of Essex Public School in a week.
Oh, that's exciting. On to high school. He's going to need the ladder that you were talking about on morning announcements.
Yeah, because he's going to high school, so he's gonna need a ladder, just like Troy said.
Yeah, like Troy.
What if I cheated and sprinkled some Parmesan on top of these flaky rolls?
Oh, that would be great. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Might as well make them taste a little bit Italian. All right.
So I have actually biscuits as opposed to the flaky rolls.
I'm pretty much ready to go in. I'm gonna get my gloves on and move mine into the oven. Okay, Miss Major?
Sounds good. I got my gloves on too. I'm going to pop mine in the oven too.
How long are we gonna leave those in there, Miss?
Well, here's the thing. The recipe calls for 30 minutes, but I personally think that once the cheese is melted, it's good to come out. So it might be about 20. And I know these biscuits I have take 8 minutes. So
Perfect.
I'm going to let that go for 10 minutes, I think.
Okay, awesome. You want to take a little break here, let the kids clean up? We can clean up, and then we'll come back to them. We'll come back to them after 8 minutes, okay?
All right. See you in 8 minutes. I need to clean this mess up.
Me too. Okay, we're back. So we had varying cooking times. There's Mrs. Major. We had varying cooking times, and somewhere between 8 and 12 minutes is what your biscuits were for, right, Mrs. Major? And mine were a little bit longer, but we're ready to get stuff out of the oven now, I think. Again.
Remember your oven mitts?
Yeah, and we're getting parents to help with this part.
I'm going to turn my oven off. I think it's all done.
Look at this cheesy goodness.
Oh, I was going to do the same thing. You can see that.
Oh, yum.
Don't want to spill it though.
Little garnish for the top. Something about seeing a little bit of green on top of a plate of spaghetti or a plate of pasta that looks so delicious, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It gives it some extra flavor too.
Yeah. I've got a Parmesan. Oh, look at this.
Oh, that looks good. That stretchy cheese.
It's perfect, Miss Major.
Awesome. Look at this. The gooey stretchy cheese. Oh, that looks good.
I think I'm gonna dig in and try it in front of everybody. What about you?
For sure. Need to grab a fork.
It looks nice and piping hot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, and it's gooey. It's like lasagna. Mmm. Full of veggies. Mmm. That's perfect.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy with my pasta. I thought it was overcooked a little bit, but it's good.
Mine's good too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, that was a
I'll
lot.
let my family dig into this.
That was a lot of fun cooking with you, Mrs. Major.
That was awesome. Thanks for asking. That was a great idea.
Thank you very much, Miss Major. Let's say thanks to everybody and hopefully they enjoy their meal together tonight. It was great having all the kids participate. We trust everybody was safe and obviously they're healthy if they're eating this kind of food. Thank you so much for Major Cooking with Cowper. Thank you very much, Miss Major.
Thanks, Mr. Cowper. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy your family time while you enjoy your meal together.
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye, everybody. Great job. Thank you.
Cooking. You're going to see the Italian in me coming up.
I love the way it sounds.